Hello again everyone, hope everyone's well. Today's video, again I'm going to do a video on a system that I had growing up. Wasn't popular at all. In fact, I don't think I ever knew anybody else with this system, but there's a story behind why I ended up getting it. And that is this here. This is the Amstrad's gx4000. If you don't know the history of this, it was an absolute flop of a system. I think it was on sale for a couple of months and then just disappeared off the shelves. Although I've got a history with this because we were actually bought one, but we weren't bought one new. If you lived in the Midlands area, there was a shop that a lot of people used to go to, and it was called Hooties. It's an odd name, I know. It changed a bit over time, but when I first remember going there, it was with my dad, and you had to be a member to get in, and it was more like a warehouse. You were given like this big plastic bucket to push around with wheels on the front, back, and the side. I always remember that they weren't in all corners. It was like a diamond shape. Get my words out. And you go in, and I remember you used to walk round and round and round these little aisles with all reduced stuff. And then we got to it. The biggest toy aisle I think I've ever seen in my life. This thing, you looked up and it was towering above you. But what this place specialised in is things that were being sold off by other shops. You know, end of line things that didn't sell. This was one of them. When I say end of line stuff, I mean stuff that now, if you're trying to get hold of, it's actually quite expensive. My brother still has to this day all the Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park dinosaurs and figures and everything else. All the dinosaurs are still in boxes. Because I remember everything was so cheap, my dad would get 2 of everything. You know, I've grown up, I've got 5 brothers, so you can imagine it wasn't easy going to shop for, especially at Christmas. So you'd always get 2 of stuff, so there was enough to go around. Another one, we got the entire toy line of crash test dummies. It's something that I'm actually going to try and pick a few pieces up. My dad actually threw the crash test dummies away in a house move, and I asked him, why did you throw them all away? And he said they were all in bits. So that's the point. They were always in bits. The car, he said, no, they all look trashed. Honestly, I've still got one. I saved one, and that's only because he was a rubber figure. Obviously, he was still all together. He's definitely worse for wear. Not the best looking toy, but yeah, that's the lone survivor of my crash test dummies. But like I said, with lots of things, that whenever you used to go there, if there was a toy line you liked, I remember there was the Terminator, there was Robocop, and everything was like the entire toy line. Anyway, to go a little ramble, I can still remember walking down these aisles. I really can. As the excitement as well, and parents trying to get us out of there. Could always pick something up, always something cheap. And so yeah, the one Christmas, my granddad would always give us money, and it was always to share between the kids. That's how he always used to say it. He's like 20, 30 quid, share between the kids. So my parents went in and they saw this. And obviously, can't remember how expensive it was. My parents said it wasn't that expensive. For this was probably about 10, 15 quid. At the time, with a couple of games, because no one wanted them. Still to this day, not many people actually want these. It was a 8-bit system when 16-bit systems were coming out, so you can imagine it was already outdated when it came out. Not to mention that the games that were ported on this, you could still get on tape for like 2-3 quid, whereas the cartridges, like brand new, were like 20 quid. So yeah, it was doomed to fail. But we got this Christmas, one Christmas, and we really did enjoy it because we weren't used to cartridge-based systems, not at all. So the 3 games, and that's all the games that we had on this system when we had it, were played quite a bit, and I don't know how we managed to play them because one of the games down here I've tried to go back to, and it's god awful. It really is. The controls are terrible. So yeah, that's where we got this from Hooties. If you remember Hooties, leave a message in the below, because I want to remember if you had been there as well. It's not just something that's in my head. So yeah, that's a gx4000 box. The system itself, I still think, is one of the best looking systems that was ever sold. I mean, you think of the NES and that box, and they actually, you see on the front there, kind of selling it as a spaceship, you know, in space. Even the controllers have got guns shooting out of them. Yeah. So I've already spoke about why it failed, because of the software. But it also, a lot of these you'll pick up today are dead. And there's a very, very simple reason of why they're dead. Alan Sugar, who was, you know, run Amstrad at the time, was a cheapskate. Like, there's no other way of saying it. He purchased a load of power supplies for these things that were faulty. They really were. As you can see on this here, it's the actual original Amstrad power supply. If you get a GX4000 and you've got this power supply with it, just don't even think about it. Get yourself a replacement. You will kill this thing. It even says on there, I think there was a sticker on the box, so I'll have a look in a second. Important, connect the DC plug into the GX4000 console before plugging in the AC adapter into the AC supply. So if you got this the wrong way, you could easily blow it. Not just that as well, on the back here, as you can see, these two bits here, there's two sockets. Both are identical. But one was for the monitor and it was like 5 volts, and one was for the plug, which was 12 volts. So if you put it in the wrong socket, you're going to blow it anyway. So there is that. But yeah, this power supply has killed more of these than anything else. And that, even my original one, because this isn't my original one, I picked this up probably a couple of years ago now in a toy shop. It's the classic thing, isn't it? It was on the back shelf, and I said, well, how much is that? And he went, oh, it's untested, £10. It would make £10, of course I was going to buy it. But why do people say something's untested when they know it's tested? You know what I mean? People on eBay, untested, sold for this. No, you know untested 9 times out of 10 means it's broken. But I bought it. It was broken. But again, quite cheaply. I think I spoke to someone and he had a spare and he sent that over. The other one did get gutted, and the board went to somebody else who was needing parts, and the shell went to a mate of mine who turned it into a Raspberry Pi. Which, you imagine a Raspberry Pi in this, there's so many ports and everything else. It's such an easy thing to make into a Raspberry Pi, and it looks really nice as well. So yeah, nothing got binned, everything got used. So yeah, back to what happened to my one. We played it a lot. We really did. We had, I think I've still got down here, I've spoken about these before. Every system came with its copy of Burning Rubber, and as I showed before, with the manky cartridge that we've got here, this actually is my original cartridge. This is one we played the most. Even my mum played this game. I've spoke about it before, that my dad even hooked up a video player to it, and just because he could, and recorded my mum's like lap times and stuff like that. I wish I could find that tape now, but that's long gone. But yeah, and I still love this game to this day. The controls make it awkward to play because they're really stiff, but it's a really good racing game. Most common cartridge you'll find as well. Probably set you back about 10 and out. There is a difference in the cartridges though. You'll see a Burning Rubber, as you can see that one there. It's got a red top or orange. And this one here has got a yellow. The yellow one is for, it's over here, the Amstrad 464 Plus. And they also did the 6128 Plus as well, which had the disk drive on the side. And the reason why you need the yellow topped one with this is because this has got the basic on it. You can't do anything with this unless you've got that yellow cartridge on the side. So just a little tip there, if you're ever buying one of these, make sure you find a burning rubber with a yellow top, because otherwise you ain't getting very far with it. Yeah, nice bit of kit these are as well. Didn't get this one till probably like last year, but it's nice looking design. Other game that we had, and again, original case. You can tell it's an original case because these things were stored in a very damp shed. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff that I had was stored in a damp shed, and I've had to bin quite a bit, which is a shame. I mean, just look at that crispy manual. It really is rusted to hell, but the game still plays. So it's Barbarian 2, and this is the one I was talking about. How the hell do we play this? The controls in it are awful. Absolutely hate the controls of this game. I think it was okay when it was sort of like the one-on-one fighting, but this is, you've got to run across the screen and jump over pits and things like that. And I think it was the jumping over pits thing that always used to annoy me, because you'd be running towards the pit and all of a sudden it'd stop and like do a attack or something like that. Yeah, the cases, did always like that they came in these big box cases. Although if you're going to be collecting for this, dig deep. Games are not cheap. I mean, I've seen copies of Pang go for many hundreds. So yeah, that's that. Recently I did pick up, just because I would like an extra cartridge for it, Switchblade. Really nice port, but again it's no different apart from the loading time to the tape game. So it's just that ported over. And if you are wanting to get into collect for this, but you don't have the funds, like myself, then they do a 32-in-1 cartridge, which is a really nice bit of kit to have. You can play all the games on it fine. You just stick out the top a bit far. And this cartridge will also work in the 464 Plus as well. So yeah, so 32 games made for this. I think there is two more, well, definitely one more game. It's a driving game, I can't remember the name of it. But then there was also rumoured of a Gaza 2 game as well, which apparently was released but nobody's found a copy of. So, oh, pad before I carry. Oh, the other game that we had was it Operation Thunderbolt? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Is it did come with a gun. You could get a gun for this, but we didn't have a gun. So trying to play a game where you've got to move the crosshair around and shoot everyone with this pad is not easy. We must have just had a lot of time on our hands and nothing else to play to get quite far in that game. I mean, it's not bad. The only way I can describe it is it's like it cuts your fingers. It really does. I mean, you can tell that they've tried to copy the NES pad, but they've just, apart from the rounded corners around here, which is nice, but you don't have extra. You don't play it for long periods of time. You just don't. So the one good thing with the burning rubber is I didn't find out this till quite a bit later on. You used to have to press up to accelerate. So while you're pressing up to accelerate and then steering at the same time was awful. It hurt your thumbs. I didn't realise that on the menu, if you press 2 instead of 1, it takes you to a separate menu, and you can map it so that 1 is accelerate, 2 is brake, and then you've got to steer with this. So that's how long we played that game, press it up, before we realised that. So yeah, so my history with this is we played it a lot, and then like a lot of people, one day smoke came out the top. It just blew. I remember my dad opening up and looking inside, and you can see like the very top of it, there was like a brown mark on top where something had blown, and it just got chucked in the bin. Then that's how the games ended up scattered around the house, and I was lucky to actually find the 2 that I did. So yeah, very, very fond memories of this. It's a failed system. It's not a good system. It hasn't got a very good list of games on it. But the nostalgia when I look at this system, the memories that come flooding back of the going round hooties and even then the toy aisle and picking them up Christmas morning, opening it up and thinking, what the hell is this? Plug it in and playing it. We played it a lot. We really did. We fought over the 3 games that we had. Yeah, I think that's the important thing with collecting anything retro or old or anything now, is if you collect things that you have a connection to, and they don't have to be expensive, but the joy and the little spark it gives you in your head. It's like when you hear a song or you smell something and it just instantly takes you back. The one that always does that to me is Lotus Turbo 2 on the Amiga. The second I hear that intro comes on, I'm back as a child again, sitting there in front of my Amiga, fighting my brothers for who has the next go. And that's what this system does to me. It's part of me, it's part of my history, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't. As bad as it is, it's good to me. It really is. So, yeah, did you ever have one of these? Did you have the same issues that I had, where it just blew up? And that was it. That was the end of it. When we went back to the Amiga or the Spectrum, whatever we had at the time. Yeah. Good memories. I think that's the main thing. Good memories. It will always have a special place in my heart. The gx4000. So, yeah, that's enough of me waffling. Just comment below if you've got one of these, or even if you wanted to pick one of these up, because I think they ain't going for that much at the moment. It's the games that cost you the money, and with the multi-cart now, I think the multi-cart about 35 quid, something like that. So there's no reason why you can't get into it. The plus models, the 464 and the was it the 6128 plus, they go for a lot of money now. So if you're going to, grab one of these. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Thanks everyone for watching, and you stay safe. See you again soon.